Hey everyone, Chris here at Fernglade Farm. It's amazing the difference 6 weeks can make. Here we've gone into virtually a drought mode, and we've had no significant rain since about early October. Let's have a look around at the garden. You don't need to go far to see the effects of the bushfires. Up in the sky there to the southwest of us is smoke from the fires coming from New South Wales and also from Tasmania. You can see it's just a cloud that's been hanging on the horizon for a couple of days. With the drought, one of the first things that I did here was I began to mulch the trees, and here's an apple rokewood. It's about 2 years old, and you can come down to the base and you can see there's quite a lot of mulch here, and we've put it down to about 200 mils depth. And what that does, it keeps the plant's roots cool, and it also retains any moisture, and it just reduces overall evaporation. One of the big problems with it though is that the mulch scavens nitrogen from the trees, and this tree here is not quite affected, but some of the citrus, which are quite heavy feeders, have been affected, and some of the leaves are a bit yellow. But it's only a temporary thing, they'll bounce back. I don't really have massive water reserves here, but twice now this season I've actually had to water all of the fruit trees, and it's usually before a run of 40-degree days. You can see this is an orange tree here, and it's a little bit water stressed, but it'll make it through. And again, it's heavily mulched, and I've watered straight onto the mulch, and hopefully that mulch will retain the water for the next couple of days. I don't intend to water very much over the next couple of months, just purely because I don't have enough. We're down to about 40,000 litres, which is about 12,000 gallons. One of the things that hasn't worked this year is the Permaculture beds. I should have made them about 4 times the size that they are, and they would have retained a bit more mulch and water. And I also should have started earlier in the season. I mean, this sad plant in front of us is one of the remains of the raspberries, and they certainly won't fruit this year, and they'll be lucky to survive the summer. I've had to let most of the herbage underneath the fruit trees die back. Some of the very weedy species are actually still performing a good function, and I haven't actually done any digging at all, which would cause the loss of a great deal of topsoil here. And here you can see this is a plantain, and it's doing reasonably well, all things considered. And some of the other species that are actually doing well as well are the dandelions, or the cat's ears, and sow thistle, sorry. And they're all quite hardy, and they provide a lot of greens for the animals here. Without them, I think they'd be quite hungry. In the food forest, some of the best performing trees are actually the oldest and the best established, and I'd assume that they have root systems that are big enough to actually reach down into the lower soil to collect any groundwater that there is there. And there is still a bit of groundwater left in the ground for the trees. We had a bumper crop of nashi pears this year, including about several hundred, but unfortunately most of those went to the rosellas. They came in one day and actually just ate all of them, and to be honest, I'm not too unhappy about that, because the local wildlife here is struggling, and it's lucky for them that we had a bumper crop of fruit. Otherwise they'd be starving at this particular point in time, and they'd be doing even more damage. The berries have performed excellently this year despite the heat. This is a josta berry in front of me, and it's produced quite a lot of fruit. As you can see, it's still producing fruit. In the heat though, some of the fruit has actually started to ferment, so it's less than palatable. And just in front of me there's a gooseberry, and up behind there's another gooseberry, and you can see that's also laden with fruit. Black currants in particular have loved the heat, and this one is laden with berries, and they're quite lovely. The herb beds have actually performed exceptionally well too, and they haven't skipped a beat with all of the heat, although these are getting a lot more water than the food forest. The raised vegetable beds are actually also doing exceptionally well too, and tomatoes in particular love the heat, as do some of the mints. As long as they get enough water, they seem to just keep growing. A lot of the vegetables though, we've had to be removing the heads and flowers to ensure that they don't bolt to seed, because they're doing it very quickly this year. In terms of flowers, it's actually year of the geranium, and they love this heat. The hotter it is and the drier it is, the more they produce, so I thoroughly recommend these plants. I now leave water out most days for the birds and the insects, the animals, and as you can see on the top of this tank here, there's a water reservoir and it holds about 30 or 40 litres, and all of the native birds in this area use it. It's been a bit of a mixed bag this season, and we're really quite uncertain about when it will actually rain again. There's still quite a lot to eat for us and the animals, but it's getting a bit more grim as time goes on. The predation is actually getting worse, and we're also having to make some hard choices about where we actually use our limited water. Anyway, thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. Bye.